Welcome to the CRM Audio Holiday Party. I'm Joel Lindstrom, and we're ending 2019 with a lot of guests. And in this week's episode, we will discuss the highlights of 2019, make some predictions for 2020, and maybe even have a holiday sing-along. We'll see. We'd like to first, though, thank our sponsor for this episode, D365 User Group. D365 UG is the official user group for Dynamics 365 CE and F&O. Across the globe, members share a common goal of maximizing and advancing the performance of their Dynamics 365 systems so that individuals and companies can improve operations, overcome obstacles, and exceed goals. Find out more at d365ug.com. And we thank them for sponsoring the CRM Audio Holiday Party. Now let's get on with the party. Welcome to the CRM Audio Holiday Party. We have a full party here, and I don't know if I can name everybody. We have Jim Novak, Julie Yack, Nick Doelman, Lisa Crosbie, George Doubinski, Kylie Kiser, Shawn Tabor, David Yack, Antti Pajunen,
That's how he says right about that too. So.
And Sarah Jelinek, and probably more people will be popping in. Oh, and Julie brought a dog.
And Charlie's here.
Yeah, glad Charlie's here. What is Charlie getting for Christmas?
I can't say that now because she's here. She would hear it. I can't spoil that.
All right.
She has a stocking full.
To start off, because we don't know how long Mr. Hobbit can be at the party, Shawn is going to give us a non-spoiler review of the new Star Wars movie.
Yes, it was amazing. I enjoyed it thoroughly. It sums up the saga completely. I give it 2 lightsabers. There you go. Non-spoilers. But yeah, it was great. Go see it. Right. And Prudence the Porg agrees.
Okay, for my sudden transition. Okay. So this is our year-end special, you might say. So let's make it special.
Yes.
Let's summarize the year. If we were to say in the Power Platform Business Apps community, 2019 was the year of blank. What would you put in that blank?
Confusing name changes.
Licensing.
Change.
Yeah.
Yes, change.
Yeah. What's different now than a year ago?
Everything mainstream. It was a headline of Ignite, wasn't it? Power Platform took over Ignite this year.
Power Space Platform. Power Space app.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was the year of the space is what you're saying, Julie.
So I revisited a flow deployment I did, I think it was 8 months ago, and that deployment had 8 or 9 flows in it. And the list of things that I could do differently if I built it today than back then amazed me. For one thing, we didn't have child flows, so I had to do some kludgy workaround to get the first flow to launch the second one to launch the third one. We didn't have solution-based flows working. I would have put them all in a solution, a number of different things, and just it would be so much better now if I could use the current environment connector and not have to do those kludgy workarounds. So that by itself just amazed me how the speed of change in retrospect, how fast we come.
Well, that's more work for you because you're doing them again, right? So.
Right. Oh yeah, and getting calls from customers we deployed Canvas apps to, and now there's a lot better answers I don't know, things to get better delegation support and stuff like that. So you almost have to say, that app we built 6 months ago, we could do it a lot better now. Let's update it.
Can you pay us again?
Yeah. So besides licensing and change, what else would you put in that? Just from the community, probably the year of the Power Addict, because just the number of people who are contributing and adding things of value to the community has just exploded. The year of a million conferences, maybe. Yeah.
XRM finally got its day. Even though we've called it something else, it's what we've been doing as XRM for more than a decade, right? So now the world sees it as a platform.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of what is old is new again. And I think that whole XRM story that was, I think, evolving in 2010 or even before that. I was doing stuff then. It's now it's kind of it's considered the new thing, but it's really the old thing that's just been rebranded. And a couple other what's old is new. I focus a lot on portals. If portals went GA this year, insider secret, portals has been around for like 6 or 7 years. And also like Power Virtual Agent, this is a whole new thing. And like, isn't that just Dynamics Customer Service Agent kind of repackaged again? So a lot of kind of shiny new things, which really are just new stickers on old products.
Well, I totally agree with the XRM side of things, because how often did you start off a project where it was XRM and first thing you do is you remove every reference in the sitemap to sales and customers and all that fun stuff. Now you start fresh and clean. You don't have to explain away. You bought a platform, not customer service. We don't do sales. I know. You don't have to do that anymore.
I found in my archives, we actually had a ready, when I had my company with like staff and all that, we actually had a sitemap that we deployed on day one that hit all that stuff.
I'm going to say the year of AI as well. Like we've got all these insights, and the AI builder was huge too. Sort of that first year of, the low code AI stuff and insights all over the place, which, may not have, I don't know if they've hit too many customers yet, but that's going to be the next.
Well, I thought that too, Lisa. I thought that too, Lisa. But then thinking like a year ago, at the end of 2018, we were putting a lot of focus on the sales AI and the customer service AI. That's still there, but it seems like that shifted. We're now talking a lot of customer insights and other things like that. But some of the AI stuff that we had back then is still there, but isn't getting as much attention now.
But now it's AI for all. With AI Builder, it's attainable for anyone of any skill set.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get that.
No code AI. It's good stuff.
So also in the community, it was the year of the made up Twitter accounts. There's a lot more of those than there used to be.
Yeah.
It's also been a year of net new MVPs that have sort of been in the pipeline for the past year and a half, some even longer. So we have a lot of new MVPs that have kind of it's been building up, and then now they've finally gotten, like Lisa here, for example, so they've finally gotten awarded.
Yeah, that's true. Anybody else have any ideas of what you would? So what was the highlight of the year if you were to take
project
2019?
I think it's
What about it?
I think blurring the lines of products, right? Because now we talked about XRM, we talked about portals, all those are now tying together. Now it's power whatever, and that causes a little bit of confusion, but it also blurs the lines between buying dynamics, AX, whatever it's called now, FinOps or whatever, versus sales. It's all now a platform, and they're just kind of components of. So that I think more of a holistic sales of a suite of tools is really been a big change. You don't have your silos of expertise.
Well, you're seeing with the Power Platform, and this really, for me, came to fruition with Power Virtual Agents. When that was brought into the Power family, all kinds of stuff lit up immediately that wasn't there before. That was much more difficult to try to spin up, right? And I think hopefully we'll see that as a continued trend where we're going to get even more tighter integration with everything within the Power Platform.
I think the key thing
that's what I saw with
is
the
to make
connectors.
licensing more approachable for those.
Right.
I would also say for this year, and look at the environment. We're doing this in Teams. I think a year ago, I don't think we would have attempted this in Teams. We would have done a Skype call maybe. I know Teams still has a few warts on it, but overall, in terms of a platform, I've started recording my podcasts on Teams. It's growing up pretty fast. I know it's not a Power product, but it does affect all of us, and like we're using it right now.
I did app in a day via Teams across 6 cities in one go this year, which was actually an amazing experience. Yeah. And we had everyone on collaborating, sharing the screen. It was, so I used Teams to do.
Like if people had got stuck on something, how did you do that?
So I got them to share their screen on on Teams. So the things that made it work, I think we had a big Surface Hub, so I could actually see where I was. I could see the screen quite well, and the people in the group were good at helping each other too. So I would sort of point at the screen and say, "Can you click here? Can you click here?" Someone else who was 5 minutes ahead would say, "Oh, hang on, yeah, I know what you've done there." So it became this really, really good collaboration. But yeah, Teams enabled that. It was that was a really amazing experience.
That's cool. So Emma, not to call you out, but I know your job, you changed jobs, but you're doing a lot more with Flow now than you used to do, right? Or you've changed a lot of your company has changed a lot of processes to Flow now, right?
Yeah, a ton of stuff is being done in Flow now. So I've been able to solve problems that we've had on the platform. I want to say maybe not problems, but just challenges we've had on the platform for the last 3 years. I've been at Click Dimensions just with Flow. So being able to send emails with data from any record at all in Dynamics automatically has just been a complete game changer for sure. And I guess for me, if you were to ask me what 2019 was for me, I think it was probably the year of collaboration. And I say that because I spent a lot of time getting involved in hackathons this year, and I've seen some amazing things come out of hackathons. For example, we've built a Power App for schools that came out of a group of people who did a hackathon together, came up with an idea, and then we brought that idea together and actually produced a full-on app to help children get on the right school bus. So that was insane. For me, it was just amazing.
Yeah, you don't
That's
want the kids
awesome.
getting on the wrong bus. That'd be bad.
Actually,
It
on
is
hackathons, Emma, out of we did Hack for Good at MBAS in the middle of the year, and the team that I worked with, they've actually gone on. We had a corporate customer there who went on to actually help that charity build out the app and put it into production. So same kind of scenario where you're getting those amazing good news stories.
That's
out
what
of
I was wondering, if any of
using
those
Hack.
actually became anything. So
Yep.
they're actually using
Got one
it?
that did. Yep.
Two of them did.
Awesome. That's pretty
really
cool. It looks like Emma Darcy, I know Emma's here. Elaiza Benitez is here.
Hey, E.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Sorry,
Are
I was
you
a bit late.
awake?
I was making a smoothie. Can you see it?
Oh.
So her beverage of choice is a smoothie. Okay. How
Mhm.
many people have a beverage?
Pardon?
Brown smoothie.
No, it's purple. It's got frozen banana, frozen blueberries, some wheatgrass powder, some dates, and some coconut water.
Eliza, I think
And how
mine
much
is
vodka?
better.
Julie, I like your drink better.
All right. So how about the so the highlight of the year? What was the best thing? I already heard MBAS, heard the hackathons. Those are cool. Ignite was one of mine. Seeing people and just being able to present kind of in a different context. So last year I'd kind of pushed myself out of my comfort zone to get more into Power Platform. This year I felt a little bit more comfortable, having been doing it for a year now. But that was a really cool thing. I didn't get to go to MVP Summit, so I would count that. But yeah.
For me, it's been onboarding the new partners. So George, Dave, Nick, Derek, and myself have been traveling the world onboarding new Power Platform partners. And just to see the excitement that's global, everybody is interested, and it's contagious. It's really nice to see.
I was going to ask you how many continents you've been to so far.
This year, I only hit 5 continents. I didn't make South America.
Slacker.
I know.
Yeah, it is cool to I was helping Julie and those with all that. The people are excited to, and these aren't people that are new to the platform. These are folks that have been doing CRM or doing F&O or Business Central, and then they start seeing, ooh, can we do this? Can we took a flow from Business Central to do that? And then they start playing around, and it's people are kind of getting their passion back for this stuff, which is really cool to see.
It's funny. I even see that at Microsoft. Got pulled in the other day for group here, a federal group, and there's a whole group of Azure people, so they're all like very technical in Azure, but they have no experience with Dynamics at all. But they're constantly being hit up, by the federal customers because it's new, it's shiny, and they want to understand it. And I just basically took the app in a day, thanks to Julie and David for that, and summarized those slides into an hour or so and walked through the app in an hour, and took almost no time to put the material together. So that's a testament to the community for putting that material out. That's just amazing. And they were just like, wow, this is awesome. And here's a bunch of Azure techie nerds. and they're just like, this is really cool. Now we can go talk to our customer about building these apps and not just be, fighting over infrastructure. So even somebody with no real background that at all sees the power of it, pun intended, and they're getting excited about it because it allows them to solve some problems, right? That would normally take a much longer time, and it's not going to solve all the problems, but allows them to very quickly deliver a solution to their customer, and then focus on the harder stuff that they need to focus on. So I thought that was pretty cool to hear that. That was just in the last week or so, and that's within Microsoft themselves.
I've seen a big shift in the number of people who've started with Power Apps. So running app in a day, a year ago, if I started off saying how many people have had a go at building a Power App, you'd get 1 or 2. Now, everyone in the room puts their hands up. All Canvas apps, got to get them over to the real stuff. But everyone is turning up to this thing now, having been in an organization where they've either discovered the licenses or they've got something or they've had a go, mostly playing with Canvas apps and SharePoint. But there's a big shift in the number of people turning up saying, yes, I've had a go. I know what this is. I'm here to learn more, compared to a year ago.
All right. So Jim has app in an hour. Who's going to do app in 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And then Gus will come along with an app in 2 Minute Tuesday or something.
So it's interesting.
The 2 Minute Tuesday could be up to like 25 minutes sometimes. So you never know.
I did a presentation with Rick McCutcheon, and it was really more geared towards like the traditional Dynamics 365, but I did want to touch on like Power Apps and stuff. So I actually created a very simple lead capture Power Canvas app. And it took me 12 minutes, but I recorded myself building it, and then I sped it up by 10 times. So it only took a minute to display on the screen. But I did, tell people, I said, this took me 10 minutes to build, and I actually showed them the working app, just to give them the impression of what you can do with Canvas apps. Like it was like really simple, but there's your app in a minute.
All right. So let's all play What's on Nick Doelman's whiteboard.
Looks like lifting goals.
Yeah. Nice.
I like Joel, I had the opportunity to speak at Ignite, and it was an exam prep session, but still I got to work the Microsoft Learn booth, and it is the excitement around Power Apps, and the interesting thing is showing them all the resources that are there and showing them the certification exams, because everyone that attended Ignite, and I think the Ignite the tour, got a free certification exam. They're like, I want to get certified in Power Apps. And you show them, okay, here's a beta certification that you can take, and it has Dynamics 365, and then they're like, oh no, I don't want to learn Dynamics. And I'm like, you're gonna learn it because you're learning Power Platform.
Let's talk.
Yeah, this is where it all started. Yeah, but I really don't want to learn. I'm like, well, you're gonna learn it anyway. So, but just that excitement, and like you mentioned, Lisa, bridging the gap of getting them into model-driven apps. It's not all just Canvas and getting them there.
Challenge. This is a big challenge I see, because people get stuck in, back to the licensing thing on the free version. We only want to use what we can do with Office and SharePoint. It's like it is what it is, but it's limited, and I'm trying to figure out how to position that better for people so that we can. A lot of people don't even know model-driven apps is a thing. Julie, you said earlier about XRM, and it's the reality. But for some people, there's still a huge market of people out there who don't know that that's a thing. And I reckon that's the word we've got to get out now.
Yeah, I think you'll see that change over time. But you're right. So many people have, thanks to the way the platform grew up from basically a free thing that came with Office, and just like Dynamics, when CRM Online came out, it was what? $40-$50 a user, and then it went upscale from that. The platform's going to continue to do that. But I think you're right. And what I think it's really cool how the communities have come together with a lot of the Canvas apps and Flow people coming out of places like SharePoint, and then the Dynamics, like they're discovering all the stuff we've had, all the XRM toolbox tools and all the stuff that we know, and we're learning from them too, as far as our old paradigms of the model-driven app and the better ways to do it in some cases. So I think having conferences like UG Summit, where we had 2 conferences together, and I was able to go to some of their sessions, they were able to come to some of ours, and some of these communities have really started to come together. So I think that's a really positive thing.
Well, I think the other thing into SharePoint, because that's what you get a lot of times. Julie, I think some of the feedback, sorry to interrupt, Lisa, but I think some of the fallback is, well, I'm going to do Power Apps, but I'm going to connect it to SharePoint, right? That's totally fine. You can do that, but you bypass the model-driven app. But you are getting some of the SharePoint people on board with it. Like there's some local communities here that do SharePoint Saturdays. There's meetups for the SharePoint group in the area, and they've been trying to bring in. I've talked to a lot of them. They're like, hey, can you come talk about integrating the two? I'm like, yeah, of course, happy to. And, you get their feedback and they kind of see the light a little bit. And some of them get excited. Some of them get nervous. It's kind of funny, but I think it's kind of like a nice entry point. Cool. Yes, you can do connectors to SharePoint. You can do connectors to Canvas apps. You can do Flow. Oh, by the way, if you need to do good structured relational data, you also have CDS and model-driven apps.
So say for me that one of the most exciting things as a follow-on to that is this convergence of the UI. So that's going to break all this down, where we saw this year the Canvas apps embedded in model-driven apps, which is an odd thing to call out as a favorite feature. But that whole session that Clay Wesner did at MBAS that's been going around, that roadmap of convergence and being able to build a Canvas page in future for a model-driven app and seeing those break down over the next however long that takes, that's super exciting.
Yeah, so you're getting into the prediction section now, Lisa.
Oh,
That's
sorry.
Fine. All right, so
I'll
let's.
hold that one.
We need next thing was the predictions, because I think that is going to change everything. I mean, when these come together and they're talking about expressions inside model-driven apps and business process flows business process flows and other model components being available for Canvas, that's when it really becomes one platform. It really changes the whole conversation, I think. Any other predictions? I got another one, because somebody somewhere or multiple people are definitely going to be surprised when the classic UI stops working and they don't know about it.
Yeah.
They log in and their CRM is gone. It's going to be amazing.
Riots. Going to be people in the streets.
And yeah, I think, and it's going to be, and it's because for some people it's happening sooner than they think it is. It's going to be a bit of a shocker. And I'm not sure Microsoft realizes how big of a shocker it will be to people. We're all fans of the platform. We use it every day. We know what's going on. Our customers, I don't want to say they don't care. They care about their software, but I use the analogy. I use QuickBooks. I get emails all the time from QuickBooks about new features and conferences, and I don't care. I just want to use the tool. So if QuickBooks is changing their UI, I don't know about it because I've just been deleting those emails. And
I think I was going to say, I think we've been spoiled too with, we're going to deprecate this, but it'll be around for like 3-4 years, right? I mean, some of the endpoints, for example, it'll just stop working at one point, or, so I think we're a little bit spoiled. And they're like, they'll keep it around. If enough people complain, they'll bring it back. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do that with the wholesale changes they're making. I totally agree on the merging of the UIs and trying to bring things together to work multi-platform. That's really a big selling point. So I think they're going to switch it off, and I totally agree. I think it's going to be some angry people, and Microsoft's going to say just you have to learn it. Because in this case, it's not like some stuff will break. The developers are probably more aware than the customers are. So there's be some things they can fix, but I don't think Microsoft is going to just okay, we'll turn it back on kind of stuff.
But the key thing here is it's going to cause pain. It's going to be usable. If you take a classic interface right now and you flip it over to UCI without touching anything, it's usable for the most part, but it is ugly. I mean, of course, dialogues don't work and a few things won't work, but it's not like it's a big black screen and they're locked out. It's just going to be, hey, my interface has changed. And the thing is, it's going to be the same thing that happened when they moved from CRM 2011 to 2013. That was I think that was a way worse change. That was a step backward. But
the difference with that one is you picked when that happened.
That's true. Yeah.
But the thing is, though, I mean, since all the model-driven apps have their own security role, like the sales access role, the customer service access role, you could have, and you probably will have, at least for some customers who aren't paying attention, classic UI is gone, and users don't have access to any of the model-driven apps for unified interface. They aren't going to be able to get in anything. It's going to be awesome.
You need the bag of popcorn just to do the meme, right? You need to finish it out with a meme.
Right, yeah. So any other predictions? What do you think? Is it just going to be more of this, or
more licensing changes?
Anybody want to step out on a limb, make it bigger? What product is going to get renamed tomorrow?
Speaking of,
I was just going to say, I think like we're just going to continue to see more of this citizen developer, low code. I feel like these terms, low code, no code, all those things, I feel like they really became more mainstream this year. And so I feel like things are going to continue to get easier and easier for people who are less technical or like mid technical range, because I think back over the last year, a year ago this time, I was so scared of Power Apps and didn't even want to go near, the Canvas apps, because I was like, I'm going to break it. I don't know what to do. And then can flash forward, and it's just getting easier and easier every day.
And now
more
she's speaking
accessible.
to sold out crowds in Paris. It's awesome.
Of course. A sold out free event.
Yeah, the other thing is the licensing changes have been predicating the application changes. Yeah. So we can kind of see from that the license change they made with the model and Canvas coming together is building the framework for where the product is going in the next 2 releases. So I think we have some good idea from that about what we can expect. And
do you think that it's going to come around and get better for customers, or do you think it's going to get more confusing? Because the reason I say licensing is I've seen with a focus on the portal stuff lately, I've seen that price people out of using it. Partners have products that they're building and relying on portals. My wife's company is doing it right now. They're like, we're going to build our own. Fortunately, theirs isn't as complex as some can be, so they can build a custom .NET app and get by. Do you think that they're going to come down on some stuff and shuffle some other things around?
I think the confusion comes from the fact that every new thing they've been rolling out, it seems like they want to monetize it. And so you've got omnichannel for customer service, Dynamics marketing, and rather than updating the core marketing and customer service functionality, you have premium functionality that costs more, which makes sense in one way because not everybody needs chat and Facebook, but it makes things like the tax code where things keep getting piled on top of it until you have this really complex, you can't use that button because you don't have that license.
Yeah. Wait, are you suggesting that Microsoft is in business to make money?
No, yes, they are in business to make money, but it makes it confusing when you have this separation of functionality. And I would argue that there is omni-channel customer service functionality like skills-based queues that should just be part of the core customer service license. And they can charge for the customer service license, and then the premium features should be on top of that, such as the chat, and definitely anything that has additional cost should cost more.
Sure.
I've said the same, Julie, when people ask about Power Apps licensing and only want to be in the free licensing. It's like, no one said this was a charity.
Yeah,
right. Right.
Well,
and
it's like they're not.
Like Power
Apps
not
hurting,
business applications. Okay, business applications cost money.
Yeah. Well, and again, they're not hurting for money, and I think it's just my wonder is, where's the tipping point of alienating customers versus bringing new people on, because you do the thing where like, okay, well, there's free like Power BI I hear a lot, and I'm not versed in the licensing there. Well, I thought it was free. Customers ask me, I thought it was free. I'm like, I think parts of it are, but what you're talking about costs money. So being better about that, like bringing people on and saying this is a reasonable cost. And reasonable is obviously the subjective word, right? So I always wonder what the tipping point is.
If we're looking for the platform to grow, if we're looking for new features, who's going to pay for it, right? We need money to come in the door to pay for the R&D to give us the new features.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. I'll grant you that.
And
so no, I'm not suggesting they give it away.
The challenges with Power Apps where people get started, and so many get people started on this free license in Office 365, and then they become accustomed to, like you're just saying with Power BI, it's free. No, well, part of it's free. It's not even free, it's included. But then here's the value of what you're getting when you're paying for something else, and if they're not seeing the value of that $10 license, then we're not explaining it well enough.
Right.
So are you saying that they're like a drug dealer? We're going to hook them on the technology when it's free.
I didn't say that, Julie. I didn't say that.
The first one is free. And then when you get your second Power App, you got to pay for it. But come on back, I got more.
Well, it's kind of what it feels like in a way. But then again, you're right. I mean, you have to explain it to them like, okay, well, build it yourself. Go do custom dev, start from scratch, build all the stuff you get for free. And as a developer, I'm spoiled, man. I don't want to build all that stuff anymore. I mean, I've built it a long time ago, and I want to rely on your infrastructure so that I can solve business problems. And that's really the conversation you have to have. But some of the licensing, again, this past year has been like, oh, dude. And they responded, right? They they listened and they backed off a little bit. They made some changes. So I think that's great. So that's kind of what I'm wondering. If you're saying that the licensing is forecasting product changes, do you think there's going to be more shuffling around?
Well, I think too, if you look at the big picture on the whole, over the large number of customers, a number of the changes they made actually made the licenses more affordable, like the per user licenses, the capacity storage, the lower price for attachments, those types of things. I know of multiple customers that brought their costs down. But there's always the edge case, and it's either it seems like either the smaller people or the bigger people are getting hurt, so you got to balance that. But I think what I would like to see is just some stability for a while. Yeah. So much change was made this year, which hopefully is setting the framework for where it's going. I think what customers want, if anything, is predictability, and they understand things that generally get more expensive over time, but just not like every time you turn around major changes. So I think that's more what I would look like.
I think you're right, Joel.
Predictability.
I hear people saying that all the time. It's like, well, is it going to change again? They get that, or that, conferences where people will phrase the question in a very, cheeky way around saying, do you think this is going to change again? So I think it's the change and the number of changes that are causing the noise as much as the fact of what the licenses actually are.
Well, and if you're a customer of Neil Benson, you're guaranteed to have your price go up. Absolutely. Every time there's a change, if you're working with Neil Benson, your price is going up.
Is that for the Neil Benson frustration premium he puts on top of it or something? So I think what do we call the thing that we call customer engagement and we used to call CRM? It seems like that's the confusion I have is, I've switched to saying I build apps on CDS. And, whether they're model-driven Canvas apps, whether they include first-party apps, but that thing that is Dynamics 365 CRM functionality, I think there's growing confusion, at least in my head, about what do I even call this stuff anymore.
Oh, that's hard because I need to translate that as well, man. I mean, I have to put that in Finnish.
Yeah.
So that
have
would
a good Finnish word for it that we could all use.
Oh yeah.
Simple.
Sure.
Business applications.
Yeah.
Ensimmäisen osapuolen applikaatio.
And Joel, I mean, if it's still customer engagement, it's still customer engagement just because Microsoft doesn't call it that anymore.
Right.
I mean, CRM is still CRM.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I mean, those are terms that industry has founded. They're not Microsoft terms.
Right.
I've started using CRM more. I used to use C, customer engagement, but now I'm back to CRM. If it's customer service, I say CRM because people understand the sort of the platform still as CRM. So it's
kind of like when
saying CRM is.
It's kind of like when you call something modern. What's the next version then? Super modern?
Postmodern.
And it depends to me who I'm speaking with. If I'm speaking with a technologist that's behind the scenes, it's CRM, right? If I'm speaking with a person who's out there selling it, my response is, oh, CRM, that's the stock symbol for Salesforce, right?
Yeah. So I'll use Dynamics with them or something, or app.
But speaking of name changes, you remember when we started hearing rumblings about the name change for Flow, and I think some of us were in on, hearing the name Power Automate, and I know that there was a lot of discussions before they made the announcement that this is horrible. Everybody's going to be upset. It's this and that. And then I said, well, 6 weeks later, no one's going to notice. And it's 6 weeks later and no one cares. It's Power Automate now.
Exactly.
I think that was a very uneventful name change, and it makes sense.
I've been watching Antti, and I think he takes a drink every bit of time somebody says licensing.
Licensing.
And I just keep turning off my camera.
Yeah. How drunk will Antti be at the end of the podcast is the question.
How drunk is he now?
All right. So anybody want to make a wild, crazy prediction? I still see George on the podcast, but he hasn't said anything. It's not like George should be speechless.
Maybe that's his gift to us.
Maybe he can't get his mic working.
He's awake now.
I heard some George.
I'm awake.
Say Azure function and George will wake up.
I was thinking, look, you're also cheerful and nice and merry. I thought someone's got to spoil the party, right? And I thought of Shawn, who's gone now. He went to see Star Wars, and I tell you what, the next year is going to be. It's going to be Revenge of the Developer.
Okay.
That's the year it's going to be, right? And funny enough, this year I will remember it for this grenade that non-developers or citizens, whatever, threw with less power, more code. Okay? And I totally hated it because it's divisive. Right? It's kind of deliberately dividing the community. And absolutely, I dislike it very, very much. So even if they did like reverse, more power with less code, that would have been so much better because it would have become inclusive. So I predict, and we all seen screenshots with the tons of code. I think like people are getting excited all about new apps they're building, and they are building apps. It's just I think people will start realizing that just because you can build apps, no one discarded software development. Just because people doing home renovations, no one discarded the building industry. And I think in 2020 maybe it will sort of come around.
Do you have a
people will
competing
come around.
hashtag, George, for less code, more power? What's the developer equivalent of that?
What?
Don't call me.
You got to have something catchy to
equivalent.
respond with that.
I don't have. Oh yeah. Okay. I'll think of something.
But I think too.
I
would add to that. Besides the developer, kind of the revenge of the architect too, because I see a lot of things being thrown together as apps that aren't really scaled and aren't really scalable to enterprise. Yeah. And we are building business apps here, folks. So it's not like you build something that's an awesome, pretty app on whatever, an Excel spreadsheet or whatever. You can do some awesome stuff, but that's not going to scale and governance and all that. So I think I would append what you said, George, to the revenge of the developers and the architects.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we're on projects now that we've had our customers attend CRM User Group Summit or D365 UG Summit and Ignite, and they get really excited about the ability to build a Canvas app or even a model-driven app and keep it simple. But yet, when we get to their enterprise level transactions that we need to complete, or the calculations or the complexity of their business requirements, we always have to bring them back and say, hey, you know what, this is going to be much more efficient in a plugin, and you're going to find the performance is going to be better. And granted, you don't want to have a developer come in and fix things, but they can fix it really quickly, and performance is going to be key for your users. And I agree. I think I'm excited that more people are getting into the Power Platform and building, but I also want them to have success and not get frustrated because it didn't scale like they needed to.
It's the one thing this year at least, right? What I'm excited about, that people were doing all these home renovations, and as a person in the building industry, I'm just laughing and say, okay, I can see you all coming to me, like husband does renovations and say, I'll do it myself, right? And then next year, wife says, okay, you have your go. Okay, now let the professional do the job. Right?
So George says if you don't hire a real developer, it's going to be like you put your own toilet in and your house flooded, and now you're all dead.
That's pretty much it. It's all going to stink. Yeah. So, but this year, I'll tell you one thing. It's like I'm going to keep myself on silence, and you woke me up. I'm in a Grinch mood, right? Now, let me explain to you why all this excitement and free power apps.
Like this.
And actually, Nick, I'll top you up. I built an app. I built 2 apps in 12 minutes in front of the actually amazing crowd, trainees, Microsoft trainees in Sydney. So here you go. I built model and the canvas. So that sets a new bar. Anyway, and it was useful, unlike yours.
But did you have to edit your presentation like the other ones to make it fit in the time?
I didn't do slides. I didn't
Okay.
do slides at all. I did 2 first slides and last 2 slides. That's it. That was it. Anyway, so one of the
say
reasons why
licensing.
people
Antti needs a drink.
yeah licensing. Anyway, one of the things why Power Apps Canvas got attraction. I'll tell you the real story why. Because SharePoint, with their releases, made development in SharePoint so freaking difficult that people have no choice. They suddenly have all this data in SharePoint that they can't get to. Well, they can get to it, but they can't modify any interface around it because SharePoint said, well, you want to develop SharePoint? Yes, you got to be a developer. Welcome to the future. And new releases of SharePoint, it's just, I got involved on one project suddenly with SharePoint, and I called out to good friends of ours, John Lear, and said, John, what's the story now with SharePoint? Because we need to modify this and this. He said, oh, you got to develop now. I said, since when? He said, well, since 2 releases ago. And it's like, okay. So now I've got this Power App. So my first point of call, if I ever get involved with SharePoint, is Power App, because they made it so difficult inside SharePoint. And that's my way out. And that's why people using Power Apps and Canvas all over the place. And positive news, yeah, I agree with Lisa. In terms of this year, the beginning of this year, you have like, who's done Power Apps? And like 3 hands. And we've done event in Sydney. Who's done Power Apps? It's like every single hand went up. So that was exciting. 3/4 still doing Canvas, but yeah, it was good. It was exciting.
Yeah, but every app in a day I have done, I have somebody who's a Canvas app person come up afterwards and say, wow, I see now this app I built that was really complicated. I should have used Model. And then there's somebody who has a Dynamics background and said, wow, that app that I built before, that should have been a Canvas app. So I think it's coming together. So well, we have about 10 more minutes left, and I don't want to cut this off, but I did want to bring up the holiday song challenge that has been going on in the Power Platform community, and it's all started with our friends in Sweden, none of who are on the call for some reason. They had to go see Star Wars or something, but they did theirs, and Matt Whitteman had a Bizapps night before Christmas. I did the MVP mug. So Nick, did you enjoy that? The chipmunk Nick Doelman.
Yeah, that was funny. I did enjoy that. I like to call it the Gus. Gus.
Yeah.
And then Elaiza, I think she's the last one. She did her Power Platform Jingle Bells. That was great, Elaiza.
Thank you.
So, but I thought we could cap this off and have our own version for those, have the, you might call it the CRM audio choir here, our version of the Bizapps 12 Days of Christmas. You feel up to this? On the 12th day of Christmas, my Bizapps gave to me
12 different conferences.
11 license changes.
10 renamed products.
9 power addicts.
8 private previews.
Stickers.
6 virtual agents. 5 days of loans.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
4 omnichannels.
3 robotic processes.
2 CDS connectors. And a canvas in a model-driven app. That was amazing.
Good
That was
teamwork, y'all.
almost as good as CRM Consultant, I think.
We made Jane Phillips cry, I'm sure. All right. Well, a toast for the end of the year and the beginning of 2020. Thanks for joining us on CRM Audio Holiday Party. This has been a great party. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next year.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.